I'm your host, Rosebud VR from Late Rose Talk Show, and this is Late Rose Talk Show's Tour 3. If you haven't checked out Tour 1 or Tour 2, go check that out on my YouTube channel. And before we get chatty, let's get on with the tour, shall we? Alright, and here we are. This is Late Rose Talk Show's Stage 3 tour. Now, I would face this way, but I don't want to face that way right now because it's where the stage is. But I thought we can start with the lobby here, and let's focus on the timestamp, pretty much. Normally, people would say, oh, just check on the events page and it will tell you the time right there. Yeah, but every once in a while, people get annoyed looking for that. So, whenever time we set like an event, I always let people know if you wonder what our next show is, check our timestamp on the very back wall, pretty much, and you can take a picture of it so memorize. However, if it does change, just don't worry. Just, I would say kind of pay attention to the event page and just look out just in case. But if it doesn't change, just keep this in mind and you'll be fine. But we can't put everybody's, though, timestamps. We can't put like every certain ones like Pacific, Eastern, Central, Mountain Time, or UK time. So we put a few, at least that are very common known. Now, don't worry about the missing posters. Those are just rooms that used to exist but no longer exist. Moving on to this. The Meet and the Rose Studios crew, pretty much. Where when you join our crew, pretty much, you can even have your own puppet displayed, depending what section you're in and what role you play in the, Late Rose Talk Show. Now, as you can see, there isn't many, or a lot of ones that are a little kind of oddly strange. Yeah. Don't worry about that. Sometimes we didn't get a lot of people to hire, or just people who are really interested in talk shows. So we have to work with what we gotta work with. But however, we had people in the team that were really dedicated and really, really wanted to work it through, which was great. But for now, on with the tour. But yeah, we got the puppets display, and if you face over this way, we got some rooms, pretty much. Usually we don't have a lot of rooms to display because we really didn't really focus during that time when we were doing our shows, but we did have a room that did exist for a while that was almost kind of popular, but not as popular. A whole meet and greet room where every Sunday we'll be able to talk with players like yourself, our viewers, and be able to play games, hang out, and you can ask more questions without the, little stricting rules around here and stuff. But, however, since as you can see, the room does not exist anymore due to some interesting things. But, sometimes it's best to, put your past behind you. If that's what, Pumbaa or some kind of character from Lion King says. I don't know. I could be wrong. But what room does still exist is The Right of Freedom by David Wilson. If you haven't checked out my last video, I did mention him a little bit, but also I mentioned like maybe a couple of times possibly. But if you want to show some support from him, please go to subscribe to his channel. Since this room won't exist anymore at some point since Rec Room is shutting down, it would be too sad to see this go. But if you want to show him some more love, please do. Now, don't worry about this middle door. There was a room that was going to come out, but we never got to, let it, come this way. But hey, it's okay. Sometimes it's good that we be able to create and be able to make these kind of things and be able to remember these things in time. But we are grateful that Rec Room does allow us to download our maps and also download our avatars so we can put it somewhere else, like in VRChat. Well, besides the point, if I turn this way, we have a shop, pretty much. A lot of items you can mess with, like we got some sandwiches, we got sushi, we got nuggets, we got steak, we got hot pockets, poutine. Yeah, poutine. And we got shakes, but we also got some items you can mess with, like David Wilson's camera that he made himself. You can actually holster this on your shoulder and actually could be on your shoulder. Like, for example, see? You can kind of see the camera a little bit in my face, which is amazing. I love that item. Pretty much everyone loves it, but the most item people have messed with is the Right of Freedom mini car. Pretty much. Oh, it broke. I'm just gonna put that back. People love messing with that, and of course we have a couple of sticks. or light sticks, or they used to be. Well, that's Wreck-'em for you. They like to break things. And you got a little armor stand. You can wear Mr. Boney, our mascot, shopkeeper. Like, I can put it on, and look at this. You can wear him. I won't be able to show what it looks like with my face right here since I don't have a screen camera. But hey, at least you can kind of see I can put it on. And there is a little mini figure you can play with him, pretty much. Honestly, it's so cool. And yes, he is the style from like Oz Lost Skulls, from the all that stuff. But just so you know, David Wilson, since he's the one who made this, he actually reconfigured the skull by making it by memory. Isn't that amazing? By memory. That's insane. But however, Mr. Boney had an upgrade, which we'll actually get into the next video on the next tour. Now, there's also a couple of things you can mess with, like the Right of Freedom tickets, which I will get into just a moment. There's also a running gag from this Late Roast Talk Show. As you can see, there is some ham here, pretty much. There is a bigger one and a smaller one. During one of the Late Roast Talk Show events, I said this: I smell like ham, but I don't taste like ham. What that mean is I was wearing the ham, gloves, the ham, sweater, and the, ham, cotton hat, pretty much. And it's because, it was such a silly little outfit that Rec Room made, and I fell in love with it. So I just kind of said, I smell like ham, but I don't taste like ham. So there's actually a couple more hams spread out around the map. I'm going to point out a few, but if you can see any on screen, please count how many you've seen and just tell me below in the comments, pretty much. I'll just be sure to try to aim the camera as much as I can. And besides the point, we also have signs we can mess with saying, "Where's David? Notice me. We love you, Rose. Right of Freedom. I am Ham." And big bony fan, pretty much. But sadly, as you can tell, if I try to grab it, it's broken because, Rec Room updates, they love to break things. But for now, it's alright. Just imagine it does work. But as you can see, there's a tiny little ham in this bamboo plant, pretty much. And I was the one who made that. I don't know why bamboo I chose, but bamboo, why not? And of course, I must ask you all, please follow the code of conduct. I know a lot of people don't like the code of conduct because the rules seem a bit straightforward, but please do, because I'm one of those people who do follow it. But if you don't, well, I bet there's some interesting kind of aspects about you. But for now, please do. Now, moving on, here is the Late Rose Talk Show stage. Now, before we approach it fully, pretty much as it is, you can see off to the side here that there is a whiteboard. Now, a couple of years ago, there was pretty much something else here besides the whiteboard. It was called the photo spot, pretty much, where the photos were taken and placed literally on here, and you can share them and stuff. Normally, you couldn't share them because you have to save the room, which me, the host, I had to do that. But sometimes we'll ask players if there's a photo you want us to save, we will save it and try to put it up here next time so then you guys can look back on it to see if it's funny or not. Or you can take photos of each other and put it on there. But after a while, I was like, that's kind of boring. That's kind of like not as like interactive as it was. So I thought, hey, why don't we do a whiteboard? Or at least someone brought the idea. I don't remember who. But I was like, sure, we can do a whiteboard. It'd be kind of nice so people can draw and interact and all that stuff. But there is something special to this whiteboard I will get into a bit in the video. But for now, let's get going. And as you can see, we have a queuing system. Our queuing system is a bit more simpler, a bit more, not as crazy as some people have made it. And we also have a button for asking questions in case people don't want to go on stage and ask a question. Now then, moving on, pretty much, this is the entire stage, pretty much. It may not seem fancy, it may not seem glamorous, but it's greatest stage that we ever had, and I can never thank enough to like not just my viewers, but the team that helped build this pretty much, and especially a lot of those that met dear to my heart. Now then, as you can see, there's a lot of seats. You can fit about at least about maybe if there's 6 people and 4 rows pretty much. If you can do the math, if you know how much that is, then yeah, that's how many people can be in this room. However, we couldn't really have that many people in the room because it would lag the whole room. Trust me, the server would just be like so bad. We had about at least 30 players join, and it did make the room very laggy. So we had to lower it down to like 25, I believe. And that was like the perfect sweet spot where it was not laggy, it was very smooth, and everyone was able to enjoy this place. Pretty much. So I recommend if you are going to do an event, stick it around that like particular spot because at least it people will enjoy the room without breaking every single equipment that they own, either from a VR headset to a PC. I don't know about phones. Phones, well, they're just going to lag regardless. And as you can see, we also have some posters, some sponsor rooms from Talk Time. If I can see that a little better, Heaven's Podcast, Glitch Show, and there was a room, but I guess it's no longer existed. Don't remember which one it was, but hey, it's all right. We had a lot of sponsor rooms pretty much, but we couldn't put everyone. We could only put 4 at a time. We could have put in more, but we didn't want to overwhelm the room pretty much. But besides the point, a lot of people have asked me this one question every time they see this thing up here. This guitar wasn't this specific guitar that was made. There was another one that was up here that was made by David Wilson. And a lot of people have asked me, do you play guitar? Because if people knew my previous outfit, what I used to wear, was that Rebel Rose outfit with a guitar on my back, pretty much. No, I do not play guitar, but I do play ukulele. And I did play guitar a little bit during the summer, but I just could not handle the strings. It just wouldn't work out. But we didn't know what to put up here because it was so bland up here. So we decided, hey, a guitar fits there. Perfect. And it was a simple one made. It wasn't really detailed. But this one was very detailed. You might see it's all pixelated right now because of, the lowing rendering. Look how detailed this is. Now, the person who made this is not by David Wilson. This person was also named by Rose. And he was the one who made this. As you can see, he even has his own little, small little signature, pretty much. But he made this, and it's actually like, I think it's either, a bass guitar? I'm not really sure. I'm not really good with my guitars, but it's a really nice, decently made. He said he wanted to make one better, but I told him, nah, I love this one. This one's very special to me because it's got my little rose design within it, and it just looks gorgeous, and I don't want to change anything about it. Back to the stage, because as you guys may be wondering, like, how do you get on stage? Well, if you know how the queuing system works, you press the queue by joining the queue, and there's a little trigger that we have, like, those trigger clicks that we click and bring someone on stage. And they spawn about right there, I believe. And they can be able to walk over and find a seat right here or sit over there, wherever they feel comfortable. If they want to, talk up on stage. But usually we have, about 5 to 10 minutes with each player, depending on how many players are in the room. But mostly it's been 5 minutes or one of those slow days, 10 minutes where there's barely anybody. But it meant a lot to, all of us that kind of felt nice at certain occasions. But usually sometimes we may not be able to get through everyone, but we usually go through a timer where we have one and we can, when it goes off, we can be able to get to the next person. However, there's a little thing on the stage that some of you already know about and some of you already don't, but there's this little button right over here on stage that once you press it, something happens. Now, I'm going to pull up my camera, pretty much. Let me get into my backpack, tools, camera, and face it towards me. Hello! Now, once I put this down, let's make sure it's on the tripod. There we go. Now, once I press this button, yeah, it makes you bald. It's a reference to SpongeBob because a friend of mine made this just for kicks and giggles, and I fell in love with it. It's funny. But there's not just that. There's also another few things on here that you haven't seen. If you go over to this maker pen, don't worry about the bad design. I'm the one who made it. It's not the greatest, but it's my first time making a maker pen, and I don't mind it at all. But however, if you touch right here, it's got a laser, which a lot of people have messed with a lot, and they pretty much like it. And actually, if you think about it, I think the button and the laser were the most popular things of the stage. However, until they discovered this. You see this microphone? I've actually was the one who made this as well. I made this rose like thorn microphone just covered in roses and thorns and vines and just floating pretty much. But if you get close to it and you can climb on it and you can grip on it and get to the top and just take a nice little view. But some people have discovered they can do this. They can jump over here and get up here and actually almost climb up onto the sign. Oh, I'm almost gonna get stuck. Now, I've got to say, this sign has gone through a lot of changes. Maybe not as many, but a few changes. One, it used to just be a giant rose as a symbol and no text. And then it was Late Rose Talk Show simple text until this one was made. This one was made by my friend Charlie, pretty much, because I wanted my members to create a sign to redesign it. And Charlie decided to just take a shot and made this. And I fell in love with it. So I decided to keep it because, it's perfect and it's its own, like, unique way. And I made sure that she saved it herself because, it's her own work and her own design. So I didn't want her to, not have everyone take it. Because there is one rule and one motto in my stage, or at least in my talk show. If you made something, don't ever not save it as an invention ahead of time, because I don't want to be I don't want to be that kind of person that says, "Oh, I actually made this," when actually someone else made it, because it's their own work, it's their own hard work, and it means a lot to them. Which, another thing, if you noticed that I missed this little thing, right here we have a little cactus, pretty much, and a tiny, tiny little poppet. That's Grimmy, one of my friends. He loves cactuses, and don't worry, this thing is sharp. Be careful, but the cactus is very friendly, and he's very, very sweet. There's a button over here that some people have noticed and try pressing, but it never works. It actually works as long as you have permissions and have the rules for it. So let's say I press it, since I'm the hostess, I can actually go up it. Now, before I turn around, if you're wondering what this room is, if you already figure it out, then that's great. If not, then, well, I'll just tell you. This is the tech room. This is behind the scenes of Late Rose Talk Show's little circuitry. They are nicely organized the best they can, and they're labeled. For instance, you got curtains. As the curtains are, they just come up, come down, as they are. There's the old Discord link that we used to use, but not anymore. And, of course, lights. We got the light stages and the normal lights for everybody to see. So, because it's a lot easier to kind of, have your eyes adjusted to have the, stage more lit, where the audience is like in darkness, where they feel kind of chill, and then they don't get too surprised with like too bright lights. They can just get some soft lights, so they feel great. Notifications. where if I open my watch, these are like notifications for saying on breaks, like 10-minute break, 5-minute break, show will start soon, pretty much. And it's rarely used, but when we do use it, it's been very helpful. Now, this is the queuing system. We have an on-off button for it, so we can turn on right here, and then we press this button right here if the trigger stuff sitting right there on the table aren't working. Now, we have a couple of, you know, of these big buttons right here, TP stage. We have 2 of them, because in case people are just, didn't want to be lazy or whatever. But hey, they work pretty well, and I'm not gonna press them because you already kind of mentioned the TP stage. Now, some of these are very, very familiar songs that people already see. These are some used ones that we would use, but we always warn people ahead of time, if you're recording a YouTube video, please, cut off the audio at the beginning of the show where it happens because we have music going on. For examples, my very, very favorite one that inspired me from Apollo and Aqua's talk show, Heatwave. It's such a nice song. I'm not gonna play it though, because I am not gonna get copyrighted, so it's best. And especially, I'm still standing and dancing in my room, pretty much. Not gonna play those either. And neither of these ones too here. These were supposed to be kind of not like, as you can see, non-copyrighted songs, but also handmade songs. However, this one was made by AI because my friend David Wilson was having a little fun of messing with AI music and decided to create a Late Roast Talk Show song, which is okay to play, but I'm not gonna play it for this video because this video is already getting long as it is. But however, we also have I Am Still Standing, but David Wilson singing karaoke of it. And just to let you know, he says he's not a great singer. I say he is. He's got a tenor voice, pretty much. And I think he should definitely, sing in a, group or whatever. It'd be really cool to see him like that. But however, it's best to leave it be. Now, if I look up here, of course, we got the, panel for the teleported people, but we look up here, here's a total count of players who've been in the room, but, for audience and total crew. Now, it says 2 players because, sometimes it bugs out, and it does that. But if I press this little button right here, it actually tells me how long I've been in the server, pretty much. And don't worry about how long I've been in here. I just had trouble recording a little bit because I sort of was, as you can see, stumbling over my words. But you know what? I decided, let's just go on with it as it is. And then when I press the button, it actually stops the timer, pretty much. Or at least hides it from me, where I can't see how long I've been in it. And now, a little bit of piece information I mentioned before of, telling you guys that I would say this a little bit later in the video, which is the drawing access. Now, before you can even draw on it, you have to buy the little badge for the thing to be able to draw on the board. Now, once you draw on the board, it marks your name, listing you so you know you've used the whiteboard, pretty much. And we will be able to tell who's used it. For instance, if someone draws something bad and they're the top player that used it, and we know who it is, then you know what's going to happen, pretty much. But very rarely we got people drawing bad things, but when there have been people who draw bad things, we were able to figure out who it was and be able to take care of them. But then a couple times I've been noticing this, and I don't think some people have noticed, but for some reason my name will be here, another player's name from the crew will be here, and it's like our names will be here, but we haven't touched the board yet, which is very odd. But, sometimes Rec Room likes to brag. Sometimes Rec Room likes to be a little bit buggy with certain things, but you know what? It's fine. Now, as you have noticed, I can actually see the stage, but if I go over here, look, it's a one-way through view, pretty much. When I'm in there, you cannot see me, but I can see you, kind of like a one-way mirror. Except how it's made, it's actually a block made by a pass-through like object, so you can actually walk through it and not worry about everything getting pressed and stuff. And it's so much easier. And you can actually take the chance to look down below pretty much at the audience and just view from the top. But normally I would ask, my security people to go down there to listen in and just make sure there's players not saying anything bad or whatever. Now, you might be wondering, what are these little spots and stuff up here? How do we get up there? Well, glad you asked. There is a consumable in the shop where when you have it, you can stay up in these little viewing spots for about 10 minutes. Have another view of of the show instead of viewing it from down below. You can view it from top view and be able to wave and stuff. And to not waste people's time and not waste people's tokens, we decided to make a button where you can teleport from the other side, pretty much, from taking this view and just be able to watch from this view. Now, let's say if you want to get down, you want to be able to go up there. Well, there is a end early access little thing that you can do. So you can, say if I want to end my consume, it will give you a notification and say, yes, take me down now. And once you click OK, it will take you down, pretty much. And it will end your consumable and you'll be able to, press the Q and join off. However, I do recommend waiting for a little bit before joining because there have been times it's been a little buggy where it takes someone off stage without giving them the chance to be on stage. Because sometimes the consumable does end early, but it doesn't end early right away. So waiting for about maybe like 5 minutes or maybe like 4 minutes, and if it doesn't teleport you away, that's good. You can be able to get on without an issue. I've noticed that before, and it was kind of funny. But however, I felt bad for those who want to get on stage and want to spend their time. But anyways, that is pretty much, I believe, it for this video. I am going to, head back to our little dorm room, and I'll pretty much see you there. And here we are, back in our dorm room. Anyways, I just want to say thank you so much for watching Tour 3 of Late Rosecto Stages. We got one more tour to get through, though. One more, pretty much. And then we'll be finally done with all the Late Rosecto tours from your host, me. But I just want to say thank you so much for watching. And if you want to be a part of a future video, please leave it down in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. And I hope you have a wonderful day. See you next time. Bye-bye!